On June 3rd, there's a full moon in Sagittarius. Mercury is making a conjunction with Uranus in the sign of Taurus, and this all together brings a lot of innovation, problem solving, and ability to find your way through. What does this mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the full moon. It's at 13 degrees of Sagittarius. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. This full moon is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is about the beliefs and rules and story you give yourself, and this is what you use to navigate this world. So while your chart is your toolbox, and with those tools you're able to carve out success and, create relationships and the things that you want. Your belief system and the story that you tell about yourself is what gives you that ability to use those tools to the fullest. So everything you do, everything you gravitate towards, everything that you are repelled from helps construct your story. And as you are, investigating your story and learning about it, you're learning about yourself, and you can adjust that story to make it easier for you to move through the universe and get what you want. This puts all the power in your hands. That is that if you believe that the universe is a benevolent place, then you're more likely to be aware of opportunities and synchronicity and good luck when it happens. This Sagittarius full moon is a good time to look back and see how much you've handled over the last few years, and to show yourself how much you've grown, how you are able to take on projects and situations with people and move forward. And the Sagittarius full moon also says that you have been flexible. You've known when to pivot. You have known when to make a change. Now, lately, it may have seemed that the universe is just throwing one thing after another on you. And this is because we are in a time of massive change. And the solution to all of this is to think innovatively and to look at different directions you can go. Sometimes we think that happiness is when things stay the same, or if we're in a little comfortable bubble. But in actuality, happiness really comes when we solve problems, when we blend together as a community, when we get to use our talents and abilities to make something better. Now, Mercury is conjunct Uranus in Taurus, and this happens about once a year, depending on when Mercury is retrograde. But right now, this is happening. And so Mercury is thinking process and ideas and how you can be versatile with things. And then Uranus is about innovation and change. And we put these two together, and we call it a genius aspect, because it's where you can, look at something and turn it upside down, and suddenly it has a bunch of uses. It's like the story of Velcro, where the guy was walking through the field and he found a plant in his sock, and he used that plant design to make Velcro. So it is this idea that you can take the things that are around you and find the solutions that you're looking for. Now, when these two come together, it can be really stimulating. And now, in a world where we have unlimited information, you could have 1,000 ideas come into your head at once. So the most important thing right now is to jot down ideas. You're going to think of ways to solve problems. You're going to look at different puzzles you've been working on. And puzzles doesn't mean just games. Puzzles are sometimes, how to make your relationship better, or how to get along better with coworkers. Those are puzzles also. And while the internet offers us all of this unlimited information, the best route to innovation is going to be asking yourself questions. Tim Ferriss has his famous 17 questions. Well, I don't know if they're famous. I've mentioned them on this channel before. And so one of those is, what if I was to do the opposite for 48 hours? Another is, what do you spend a lot of money on, or what are you willing to spend a lot of money on, and how could that information help you maybe start a business? How could that information tell you more about yourself? And of course, probably his most famous is, if you could only work 4 hours a week, what are the priorities? What could you get done? What could you accomplish? So for the next 2 weeks, you'll be carrying this energy of Mercury conjunct Uranus, and you'll have lots of ideas. And so if you ask questions, then you can direct that energy to solutions that really help you. So overall, this full moon is actually a little bit of the quiet in the storm. And, the storm has been raging. We had eclipses. We had that big T-square at 0 degrees with Pluto, Jupiter, and Mars. And so it just feels like things have been piling on you all of this time. And now it's going to get a little quiet, at least for a couple of weeks, so that you can process things. So the first thing to do is to congratulate yourself that you've made it this far, and then to take stock of your skills, to look at what you've learned, look at how you've grown, and then look ahead and say, all right, now where do I want to go, and what are the next steps that I need to take? But most importantly, when you look at the story you tell yourself about who you are, be the person who's looking at this with a sense of adventure. Do Sagittarius, say, this is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to learn something. And when you do, then the universe really helps make that happen. So today we are doing tropical Western astrology. You want to listen to your rising sign or your ascending sign. This is going to tell you what's going to be happening for you over the next 2 weeks. If you don't know your rising sign, you can send me your birth information and I'll send you a copy of your chart. If you want to know more details about what's ahead for you, I do readings. I also have some video courses out. I've got one on the flying star, and then I have tarot, reading the natural way. That's a full course on how to read the tarot, using each card as though it's a still frame in a movie. So if you like movies, then you can read the tarot. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of education, travel, life experiences, and your personal philosophy. And so this is a time to look at what kind of rules you've given yourself, to see if those rules are still serving you. Maybe these are rules that came to you from someone else, and so then they need to be challenged. If they even are your own rules, are they things that are still valid in your life? And then, of course, with this full moon, maybe you're thinking about going somewhere, or maybe you're finishing up your semester. Perhaps you're looking at your future semester and learning new things. And then when we look at that Uranus conjunct Mercury, that's going on in your house of money. So there is opportunities for you to get new financial ideas, money-making plans. These are things you should write down. Also, you may get some sort of like an idea of a money block that you can obliterate, something that maybe since childhood was an idea that you latched on to, which is actually limiting your money, or something that you got later in life. And so this is something that then you can challenge and come up with a solution for. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mars is making a sextile to the sun, and Mars is in that house. Venus is almost there, so you have really good energy for love relationships. If you want to go meet someone new, if you want to, get some dating things happening, this is a really good time to be out there. When it comes to existing love relationships, there's no aspect going on between Venus and Mars. And at this point, because Venus is approaching Mars, though, there is going to be a time in the future where these two factors are coming together. Well, factors, they're actually planets. And when they come together, there is an opportunity for a meeting of the minds. And so the two of you can come together and work out something or have some shared goals. So you have that coming up in the near future. And so that's something you want to watch for. Now, when it comes to your money, you have some really good energy you're pulling energy from that Venus that we were just talking about, as well as having North Node, Jupiter, Mercury, and Uranus in that house. And so this is a time where a lot of creative ideas are going to happen, a lot of opportunities can be there, and that could be anything from finding a new job to having a business idea. So you want to make sure that you're capturing these ideas some way, capturing them in a note-taking app or writing them down, because there's going to be too many to actually have, to be able to work on during this 2-week period. So some of these are for your future, and some of these you'll be able to grab hold of right now. Now, when it comes to your money that comes from business or from investments, things are looking pretty good. You are doing an out of sign opposition between Venus and Pluto. So there is some profits that you can make, some different way of doing things, because this is out of sign. So it's maybe not as obvious, but there is a way for you to get more money. And I expect you to make more money over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, it's a different story because Venus is not making an aspect with Uranus. So in this case, while you're doing a lot of money-making options, asking for a raise or trying to get more money from an employer is probably the most difficult of all of those. So changing jobs might be easier, or finding outside sources of income or having a windfall is more likely right now. This energy will line up in the future, but this isn't quite the right time to be asking for a raise. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this full moon lighting up your house of power, control, also resources from others, and those very, very close relationships. And so you have an opportunity to gain more power in your life, and that is first by recognizing where you're giving away your power, because you naturally have power. And so, but sometimes, we can give away power and then we feel, powerless. So this is an opportunity where that moon is lighting up that house. And so you can see if you're doing that. This is also a time where you may get more resources. And so that's like increased credit limits, maybe opportunities for lower interest rates, or resources like people coming to you and saying they're going to help you. So you'll have all of that. Now, the Mercury conjunct Uranus is happening in your own sign. And so this is the ideas and all of that, they can come from you yourself, but it's likely they're going to come through partnerships or collaborations, or even just reaching out and asking someone a question. And as you do, the new ideas flood in, solutions to problems are there. And so that's your point where you're going to tap into the knowledge of the universe. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is not making an aspect with Venus. And so you do have some opportunities for love relationship, but it's more that you're waiting, or you may be just mentioning something that you want to know that's not related to love, like asking them a question, and then they start pursuing you. And so this is where the ball is kind of in their court. And so if you want to take the action, you might want to wait until outside this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making an out of sign opposition to Pluto. So that's some pretty strong energy, but it's not as direct. And so there's something where the two of you could come together to work on something, and it's a little bit unexpected, or by doing something that is outside your usual, you come together in a new way. So it's like going bowling when you never bowl, or putting together a piece of IKEA furniture that's particularly difficult. You come together, you learn about each other, and this can help strengthen the relationship. I'm smiling because sometimes I try to say 2 words at once, and it just ends up sounding slurred. Now, when it comes to friendships, you have some great opportunities here. Venus is making a trine to Neptune. You've got Saturn there, so this would indicate more business-oriented meetings or groups. and, like being part of a professional organization, but actually finding friendships through that. And so if there's something you were looking to learn, like going to, some sort of coding camp, or learning how to paint, or doing anything that has maybe a structure of education around it, also could bring you somebody who you find you can just have fun with. Now, when it comes to your money, the sun is in this house, and so that really bodes well for new ideas, etc. And you're pulling money from Mercury, which is conjunct Uranus in your own sign. So there's a lot of money opportunities that's coming right to you, and that is that it's time for you to be with your eyes open and say, how can I make more money right now? What's in front of me? What's there for the taking? Where am I holding myself back or being distracted? Doing those things will help you grab hold of money opportunities over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money from investments or from your business, even though Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter, they're both in the same sign, and so that there's some affinity happening here. But it's interesting because actually in this entire chart, Mercury is only making one aspect, and that's the conjunction to Uranus. And so because that rules your money, it almost says do something different. Don't do the same old thing. So if you are looking at your investments, maybe look at them in a new way. Calculate them over a longer period of time, or maybe recalculate them, factoring in fees or things like that. And the same with business. Look at your business and how you're doing it, and look at doing it in a new way. Then when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, Mercury is not making an aspect with Neptune. And so you don't have the benefit of even Neptune being in the same sign with Mercury. So this is a little bit more difficult. I would say just wait if you're thinking about trying for a raise. Again, there's more money opportunities thinking creatively rather than in a conventional way. So this energy will line up in the future. And that will be the time to ask for a raise. But right now, it's not time. Okay, Gemini, you guys are doing this full moon lighting up your house of relationships. And so there is definite opportunities to bring in people for love relationships, friendships, mentors, teachers, people you can partner with in business and in projects. So this is a time where there's a world of people out there, and many of them want to meet you. So this is, when you want to go out and meet them. Now, Mercury is conjunct Uranus in your house of intuition and psychic ability. And so what that can do is it can open up your mind and your spirit to bigger ideas and bigger solutions. And that's because the boundary between you and the universe is thinner right now. And so you can, through meditation, and that could be a walking meditation or a guided meditation, you could come up with more ideas and solutions to things. Consider doing some journaling, that can do it. Or, like do a focus, like holding a crystal and focusing your energy on that. So there's several ways where, ideas, and several opportunities for ideas to come in, and these could be real gems of ideas. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Mercury. In fact, your ruler here, Mercury, is only making a conjunction to Uranus. And that's actually kind of unusual. And it's very single-minded, and which is interesting because Mercury, or I should say Gemini, is never single-minded. You are the guys who can, multitask. You can think two things at once. You can feel two different things at the same time. And so right now, it's like the universe is trying to focus your energy on one thing at a time. And right now, that might not be new love. That might be more looking at your own life and ideas and solutions for that. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the energy is a little better. Even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter, they're in the same sign, plus the full moon is there. So your existing love relationship is getting better. There is an opportunity to come together, to shine a light on problems and come up with solutions. So that energy is looking pretty good. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that moon that is lighting up your house of partnerships and collaborations. Also, Venus is still in that house, so this might mean that there's a little extra spending or money going out right now, maybe like a last minute spree. And so if you're trying to stay on budget, you might want to hide the credit cards. But that moon in the 7th, that is saying that as you reach out to people, as you connect with others, more money can come into your life, maybe not directly from that source, but from somewhere. Now, when it comes to money from investments or from your business, you have a very strong aspect for money. The moon is making a square to Saturn, and that means that as you take action, you can make more money than usual. It's almost a compelling action, like you can't help yourself, you must do something. Or this is initiated by someone else. Someone says, here's a big opportunity, but you have to do something about it right now. So I think it's very likely you'll make more money than usual over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like paycheck, the moon's making a trine to Mars. So you have excellent energy for asking for a raise or changing your commission schedule or finding a way to get a more flexible schedule or get some other perks. Now, the only caveat on that is there's a lot of planets hidden in this chart. And so that might mean that your supervisor is on vacation, you have to track them down, or that you haven't been in the office or not turning your camera on during Zoom meetings. And so you have to make yourself a little bit known to get the best raise, but the energy is quite good for doing something with that over the next 2 weeks. Okay, Cancer, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of work and routines and also health and well-being. And so there may be some new information about your health that's coming through. It's almost like there's a spotlight on this now. And so you can gather this new information, or you're taking information you had but applying it differently or seeing a different twist in it. This is also about your productivity and efficiency, and so you may get some ideas about that. There could be some things that you need to pay attention to at work, and so that's why this is lit up, maybe new systems or working with new people. So all of that's going on. At the same time, Mercury is making that conjunction with Uranus in your house of friendships and community. And so here's where all the ideas come in. Here's where the solutions are. And that is you state your problems to your friends or to the community at large, and solutions will come in. And then you can pick and choose what's going to work for you and what isn't. So this is really a strong resource for you at this time, is to ask basically the world, and the world comes up with solutions for you. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's making a semi-square to Pluto. So there is a love opportunity, but there's something where maybe they're not quite your type, or there's something about them that you say, oh, I like 90%, but there's this one little thing that I'm not sure if I can live with. So, and that's where you kind of need to maybe expand your definition, like maybe they live kind of far, or, their hairstyle is something you don't like, or they don't have hair, or something like that. So there may be something where you're possibly breaking one of your rules, but there could be a real match there. And so you might want to consider at least a first date. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a square to Saturn. And so there's a need for the two of you to come together to work out something. And when you do work it out. So this is not a time to be distracted or to just, sit with hurt feelings. It's more important to go to that person and say, this is what's bothering me, because you do have an opportunity to find a solution, to work this out, really maybe on a permanent basis. So a great opportunity to make this relationship better. Now, when it comes to friendships, the moon's making a sesquiquadrate to Venus, plus you have North Node, Jupiter, Mercury, and Uranus there. So friendships is extremely highlighted. Yes, a sesquiquadrate is not the easiest of energy. I think I've described it before as like you're at the carnival and you win the prize of the little fish in the bag, but then you got to carry the fish around and you can't go on the rides and all. But you won a prize. Like it's a mixed blessing, and that could be this energy of friendships. Like you can find people who are ready for a friendship with you, but then you got to take the time and get them into your schedule, and so but still, friendship is worth it. And so that's why I pointed out to you. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that sun, which is in that house of spirituality and psychic ability. You have Mars in that house also. So you've got a strong money house, but there's a spiritual component here. And so this would be a time where I'd say, step out of the normal marketing mode and maybe do a little feng shui, like get a new welcome mat, or, do a meditation with a candle or crystals, or, do something that, is kind of on the spiritual side and activate that sun in that 12th house so that you can bring in the prosperity that you're looking for. Now, when it comes to money derived from investments or your business, the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus. So I think you're making about the same as usual. One of the problems is because that sun is in a hidden house, it's like the money is somewhere, it's coming. And so when you don't have that money, like the opportunity right there, then you need to work on other things. And this might be the back office of your business or your website. There's a little saying that always goes through my head, and that is, when fishermen can't fish, they mend their nets. So that's the energy that you're doing. If you can't fish at the moment, you mend your nets and you get ready for the next fishing season. And then when it comes to money derived from career, the sun's making a semi-square to Venus, so there is an opportunity for you to gain more money. There's some sort of hurdle that you have to do. Maybe it is that they're not giving a lot of raises, or that you really have to make a case for yourself, or that you just don't like to ask. And so, but you've got North Node, Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus in that house, plus, you're doing an aspect. So, this isn't the easiest time, but this is still a good time. Okay, Leo, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of creativity, personal expression, risk-taking. It's also romance and kids. And so all of these things may be on your mind. That's why it's lit up right now, so that you can think about it and, expand your world in that area. So opportunities to do creative projects could be strong. Your kids might need more assistance right now. But I think the most interesting is that Uranus is conjunct Mercury very high in your chart. It's in that house of career, and that can mean bringing you solutions about careers, bringing you new ideas about it, maybe about what you could be doing if you want to switch careers, or how to move up in your current career. It's also about reputation, and so how to put yourself out there to the bigger world. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though the sun's not making an aspect with Jupiter, the full moon is there. So this area is lit up. And so this is a good time to meet someone new. You've got a lot of elevated planets. In fact, it's just the moon and Mars below the horizon. Everything else is very visible. That means you are very visible. So you can go out and meet someone. Because there's no aspect, maybe the first date happens outside the 2-week period, or maybe someone is asking you out and you don't even realize it. So, alert your friends that if you miss it, they'll point it out to you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus. And I think that what's going on is that you seem to be focused on other things. So the relationship's just going on as it normally does. You might not be interacting so much. Maybe one of you is away or traveling, or, very focused on the kids or something like that. So I think it's just going on as usual. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mercury, which is conjunct Uranus, which is considered a genius aspect. And so this is a time where, like, if you want to invent something, like sit down and think this through, look to solve people's problems, and you can make a lot of money. You could find also something that's very fulfilling for you to do. Again, more brainstorming, more thinking about this, asking yourself the questions. That's what's going to bring money. Or ask people who are high up in whatever profession you're in. So, the superstars out there, you can send them messages, but even people who are just one or two steps above on the ladder than you, they may have some information for you too. Now, when it comes to money from your business or from investments, I think you're making about the same as usual. Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune, and Saturn is there. Saturn's going to be there for a while, but that does say that you need to pay attention to it. So we call them passive income or passive investments, but in this time, it shouldn't be that passive. It should be something that you are paying attention to. The same with a business, whatever you've automated, go in and check your systems to make sure everything's working. And again, I think you're making about the same as usual. Then when it comes to money derived from career, Mercury is conjunct Uranus in your house of career. So this is exceptionally strong. So consider, can you ask for a raise? Can you talk about a promotion? Can you look to transfer to another department or look for a new job? You have big opportunities right now for getting more money from a regular job or some sort of paycheck. Or if you do contract work, you could sign a pretty lucrative contract. Okay, Virgo, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of home, family, foundations, and your dwelling. And so there may be stuff going on with your family. It's possible that you're thinking about moving, or, maybe you just moved and you're unpacking. This is also about your foundation. It's like what you build from, and that, we hear about that a lot. That can be anything from, like getting up early and working hard to having a support system in place, like emergency funds, things like that. So it's the place that you build from. And then your ruler, Mercury, is conjunct Uranus, and the kind of the star of this chart. That is elevated in your chart in your house of education and travel. So there's definite opportunities to learn new things, maybe through travel, maybe through some classes, but to make a big switch of how you were thinking about things and opening up your mind to new possibilities. So I think you're going to get amazing ideas during this 2-week period. You can't hear it, but the cat is snoring so loud. Apparently, I'm really riveting. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though the Saturn's not making an aspect with Mercury, there's so many elevated planets here. I think that someone could find you, but if you're looking, I don't think it's going to be so easy for you to find. So, be out in the world, smile at the world, be open to talking with people. But if you're actively pursuing this, you may want to wait until this aspect lines up, and it will in the future. When it comes to existing love relationships, things are going about the same as usual. Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune, and so it's just rolling along as it always has. I think that the two of you are doing you do your part of the relationship, they do theirs, and you're just rolling along together, but not really working on problems or things like that. And that's okay. Sometimes you want to just roll along. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which it has been traveling through that area of technology as well as friendships and organizations, and it's just on the verge of changing signs and then going to be more about spirituality and psychic ability, etc. So, but right now, since it's about to make that transition, this is a time to look at what needs to be finished, what can you complete, and not quite time to get something new started. So, but maybe just to do the very basics. Remember, you're doing foundational stuff now. So what is the foundation that you can do? What's the thing maybe you need to learn to get something started? Now, when it comes to money derived from investments and from business, you're making about the same as usual. Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, but the two of them are going to be kind of in tandem for a long time. So there are opportunities. Right now, it feels like it's a little out of reach, but these two will close together in the future, and you're going to have some great money opportunities coming up. Now, when it comes to money derived from a career, so like a paycheck, the moon is making a sesquiquadrate to Venus, which means that you could ask for a raise and you might get one, but there's a big hurdle to cross. And because you're doing a lot in education and testing, it may be that you have to take a test to gain more money, or that something has to come down, like a new rule has to come down from on high for you to get that. So you may want to wait until this energy lines up better in the future. Okay, Libra, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of communication, thinking process. This is also about contracts, paperwork, and your vehicle. So, and if, when I do that list, like if you're, you think, oh yeah, there was a recall on my vehicle I need to take care of, or I got to get an oil change, like that's the thing then. So, or maybe you think, oh yes, I want to ask for a contract, or I need to write a contract for someone, or you have paperwork on your desk already. So that's what this is about. If none of those things are popping into your mind, then it could be about the words that you're saying to yourself, or perhaps because, of the nature of the world we live in, maybe you're just collecting so much information and not giving yourself enough time to process it. Now, Mercury is making a conjunction to Uranus in your house of resources. So tons and tons of ideas of ways that you can make money, gain more power, more control over maybe investments or passive income sources, as well as just everyday situations where if you've been giving away your power, now you could have solutions for that. So there's a lot of inspiration that can come because those two are conjunct in that area. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Uranus. And I think that right now your mind just seems to be on other things. I would focus on friendships and just getting to know the person. You may be pursued, but I think that perhaps you're pursued by someone you're not so interested in. So again, I think this energy is going to line up much better in the future. So if you just be patient, it will get better. You probably hate hearing those "you have to be patient" thing. Sorry. I don't like to hear it either. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, but these two are going in tandem, and they're going to get closer and closer together, and they're going to be traveling together for some time. So it's not quite here yet, but pretty soon you have an improved relationship with your partner. So right now, if there's some stress or things, just hold back a little bit. You're going to have some opportunities to discuss it and work things out in the near future. Now, when it comes to friendships, the sun's making a semi-square to Venus. So there are some friendship opportunities. The semi-square says that it's a little bit outside of maybe your schedule, or it's a little farther than you wanted to drive, but there's some opportunity to meet some new people for a friendship, but a little work is involved, and so you have to weigh whether you want to do that. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Pluto, which is in Aquarius now, but is working its way back to Capricorn. And so you may have had some new ideas about things, and the new ideas are kind of falling apart. That's because it's going to go back into Capricorn for a little while, and that is where you're going to pull some knowledge from the past to shore this idea up to move it forward in the future. You're also pulling money from that Mars, which is in your house of community and friendships. And so there's a source of money for you to find, like people you used to work with, or professional organizations or hobby groups. All of these places are where you could meet people who could help you make more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from investments or from your business, Venus is making an out of sign opposition to Pluto. That can indicate more money is available to you. Because it's out of sign, it's a little bit less obvious. Now, you do have Jupiter and Mercury and Uranus there, so like some sort of inspiration can happen, maybe a new way to do your investments that actually brings you more profits, or some new marketing idea or new product that you're putting out. There's something new that you're doing. There's a little bit of effort involved, but it can bring you more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, the sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Pluto and a sextile to Mars. So you have both of your money planets involved in this. That it bodes very well. The sesquiquadrate does say that maybe there's a couple of hurdles or hoops you have to jump. I guess you could jump both of those. So but the sextile says there's an opportunity. Sesquiquadrate says that, it may be a little bit of a mixed bag. I still like the fact that you're doing a double aspect, and so I think it's worth asking for. And maybe you'll have to do a little negotiation in the process, but you'll still likely end up with more money. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this full moon lighting up your house of money. It's also about possessions and self-worth. We're going to talk about money in a second, so let's talk about those other two. This is lighting up your house of possessions, and so this might be time to take a look and see if you need to declutter. If you have found that, maybe some of the things you have you can sell and bring in some extra money. Maybe something that you have just gives you ideas about other things, that could be valuable in your life. This is also about self-worth, and so looking at, how you're feeling about yourself and taking those steps so that you can have a stronger sense of self. We also do show that Mercury conjunct Uranus in your house of relationships. That means that other people can be very helpful. They can bring you ideas. They may not even know they're doing it. They can just inspire you or help you solve a problem. And that can be people that you know or people that you are just seeing out in the world, but other people are giving you ideas. Now, when it comes to love relationships, Pluto's making a sextile to Neptune. Right now it's an out of sign sextile. So it's, not as obvious, like somebody maybe not your type or something like that, but you have such a strong relationship house. It may be worth it to go out with this person. Maybe there's an age difference, or maybe they're from a foreign country or something like that. Somebody who you haven't dated that type of person in the past, but this could be, there could be a real connection here. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, you've got a lot of energy going on. Venus is making an out-of-sign opposition to Pluto, plus you have North Node, Jupiter, Mercury, and Uranus there. So you're getting ideas of how to solve relationship problems. That means that you need to identify what the problem is, and then a solution will come either from your partner or from some outside source. So this is a great time for you to strengthen your love relationship, because the two of you can come together to solve a problem that you're both facing, or you can solve problems that you're having with each other. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Jupiter in your house of relationships, plus, of course, the full moon is in that house, and it's lighting up that house like a spotlight. So when it does that, what it's suggesting is that you look at your finances in a very realistic way. And so you look at the trends, you look at how things are going, and then if you like the way the trend is, then you can reach out to other people and expand that. If you don't like where the trend is going, you can reach out to other people and look for solutions. So in both cases, you can turn the boat in the direction that you want to go and get there faster. So this is very strong energy. It does mean some interaction with others, and that might mean, people you know or people you've just met, or even professionals. But there's really good energy here for having great ideas about making money. Now, when it comes to money from your business or from investments, I think you're making a little more than usual, because even though the Jupiter's not making an aspect to Mercury, they're in the same sign. Plus, of course, the full moon is there. So you've got a lot of energy going on about that. So I think that you're making a little bit more than usual. And then I think that will expand over time outside the 2-week period. And then when it comes to money derived from career, that same energy of the Mercury and Jupiter being in the same sign, plus the moon lighting up your house of money, I think is really strong. You've got a good house of relationships and connections with others. So this is a time to find your supervisor, sit them down and say, how can I be on the track to make more money? Or what do I need to do to get the promotion? Also, applying at other places, expanding the possibilities that way. So you have a very strong chance of making more money by asking for a raise or getting perks or things like that. Okay, Sagittarius, this is your full moon, and this starts basically your 3-month harvest period. So that means that the stuff you've been doing over the last 6 months or so, that was the beginning of projects and things like that. So take a look at all the projects you've been working on. Now you're at the height of energy for the next 3 months and see what you can do to take it and put it out into the world. Even if you don't think it's ready, maybe some portion can go out. Maybe it can go out to a select group of people. So all of that so that you can capitalize on that harvest energy. Now, also Mercury is making a conjunction to Uranus in your house of work and routines. So the ideas that can come to you, especially about productivity and streamlining how you do things, also, things about your health and how to have more energy, you can get some amazing ideas at this time. You just need to ask those questions of, like, how can I get more done in less time? Or how can I feel like I have more energy? So questions like that can stimulate this Mercury conjunct Uranus and give you amazing ideas. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Jupiter's making a square to Mars, and you also have the full moon in that 1-7, those relationship houses. So your energy around meeting someone new for a love relationship is very strong. So this is a good time to go out on a first date or let somebody fix you up or, expand your profile online with extra pictures, things like that. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, this is also very strong energy. Even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter, they're in the same sign. And of course, this is the full moon energy. So there's something where maybe the two of you are coming together to work on a project, or you're doing a trip together, or there's something that's pulling you together so that you are together a lot more than usual. And that is helping the relationship because you get to bond. Now, when it comes to friendships, Venus is making a square to Jupiter. That means that friendships can happen. And it's interesting because there's a lot of planets that are more towards relationships and work and routines. So this may be going out with coworkers and, like doing a happy hour, doing like a coffee date with somebody. So look for opportunities to meet people in your daily life and they can become friends. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Saturn right at the base of your chart. And Saturn wants to build something. And so what we're looking at here is Saturn at the base of your chart is about a foundation. And that is to take care of the things that make your life solid, and that from there then you can build. And so solid would be, that there's food in the cupboards, that there is some sort of emergency fund, that there is a little bit of a backup for you. That gives you the foundation, and then you can take some of your free time, which may not be a lot, but then you can build from there. So money here says, and your money focus right now can be on how do I build a strong foundation from which then to build a company or to build my career. Now, when it comes to your investments or money derived from your business, the moon's making a square to Saturn, so we have very strong energy for making money. Now, it's possible you're doing still some investing in your business. Venus is still in that house, so maybe you're doing a little bit of spending, but I think that it's likely you'll be making more money over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, it is a different story because Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. Plus, you have a very strong house of work. So if you ask for a raise during this time, they're just going to give you more work. So you might want to wait until outside this 2-week period. These two will line up in the future, and then you'll find a time where you can ask and not get saddled with a lot of extra responsibilities. Okay, Capricorn, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of spirituality, rest, recuperation, also psychic ability. And so this is a time where you want to step back and kind of do an evaluation of what you've been working on, how it's going, how your life is going in general. You might do this through journaling or, a walking meditation to just think this through, but taking some time to pause and kind of see how you feel about how things are going, and and not just what's not working, but what is working, and how can you expand that. At the same time, Mercury is conjunct Uranus in your house of creative ideas, adventure, risk-taking, and so there is so many positive ideas that you're having at this time, and maybe they just feel a little big, a little too far out of your comfort zone. And so that's where, again, thinking things through. And so you say, hey, I have this idea, like I want to go build a business in another country, like something big like that. And then taking the time and breaking it down into the smallest steps you can think of, every little step. And then you just put one of those tiny, tiny little steps on your calendar each and every day, and you'll get it done. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn, you have a very strong house. I think that it's quite likely you could meet someone during this 2-week period. Now, because Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn, you may not recognize them right away. And so that is that, you're at the grocery store, and so you're thinking about something else, or you're paying attention to your phone and not to the person talking to you. So alert your friends and family to let you know if you've missed an opportunity, so that you can go back and go, yes, I do want to go out with you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making a square to Saturn, so you have very strong energy for working out problems. What I do see is, because your house of children is very full, that this may be the two of you coming together to work out something about the kids. And that means that you're having to get on the same page and be a united front, and that helps the two of you bond. Now, when it comes to friendships, Saturn's making a semi-sextile to Pluto, so there's an opportunity to meet somebody for a friendship. And this, because the South Node is up there, maybe going to places you've been to before, or going on a regular basis, like going to the same coffee shop at the same time, so that you can start to get to know the people who are there. And so friendships are a possibility. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Saturn, as well as Uranus, which is conjunct Mercury and is that genius aspect. So this is a time where you do want to use the power of the question to ask yourself, how can I make more money? Or perhaps maybe the question is, how can I make $1,000 this week? How can I make $500 today? And so you start to really look at the question and first say, everything's on the table, all the different ideas. And as you open that up to some really wild and creative thinking, you'll get some amazing ideas. Now, when it comes to money from investments or from your business, you're making about the same as usual. You have Mars in that house, which is meaning that you're taking a lot of action, but the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus. So I think that, you're out there, you're billing, or the investments are starting to go up, but it's not quite time to take the profits yet, or people haven't quite paid you yet. So I think the money is coming, and so I think you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and that's like a paycheck, Mars is making an inconjunct to Saturn, and Saturn's making a semi-sextile to Pluto. I had to check. And that means there are two aspects, not the happiest of aspects, but they're an aspect. And you know my rule, if there's an aspect, you have a chance to get hold of that money. But because they're not the easiest of aspects, there is some hurdles you have to jump. And so when you sit down to talk to your supervisor, they'll tell you what the hurdles are, and then you can decide whether those are something you want to do. Okay, Aquarius, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of friendships, community, also technology and the future. And so this is what's lit up for you. So doing future planning, writing out your goals, maybe joining a professional organization or getting involved in the community somehow, reaching out to friends that you haven't talked to in a while. And also looking at your technology and saying, do I need to upgrade? Is there something I need to learn? So all of that then is with that Uranus and conjunct Mercury in Taurus, in your fourth house of home and family. So there's an awful lot of energy down in that house that says, how can my family come together in a new way? Maybe you didn't know that your uncle is really, really good at technology or really good at finance. And so learning about them, maybe there are some different ways of approaching family issues, or you're trying to solve some sort of problem in the house itself. And so you can come up with innovative solutions. This is such strong change energy. You might be thinking about moving or doing some house renovations. So we're seeing a lot of movement in that area. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury's making a conjunction to Uranus and the sun is there. So you have really good opportunities for meeting someone new for a love relationship. And this would be kind of a spontaneous thing where you just happen to bump into somebody. So you want to be out and about. This is also would be good to go to venues where there are a lot of people, where you could meet people, like different types of conventions or different shows, or I'm thinking like RV shows or home shows, or Comic-Con or Comic-Con. So anything like that, where you can be around people who are like-minded. You could meet somebody new for a love relationship. Then when it comes to existing love relationships, I think things are going around about the same as usual. Venus is not making an aspect with Mars, but they are getting closer together. And you have a very strong house of home and family. So you may have to pull together to do something for somebody else or to deal with something in the house. So you're less thinking about the relationship itself and more working on things together. And, this shows that you are coming together, maybe not quite in sync yet, but you will be as we get a little farther down in the year. Not down in the year, along in the year. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Neptune in your house of money, as well as Jupiter, which is just separating now from the North Node. And so this is very much about, if you have had an interest in something, you've thought about doing it, but you're kind of dancing around the edges, this may be the time to commit at least some time, energy, and maybe some resources to finding out if this is your thing. And so perhaps that means getting a piece of equipment or getting some training or just marking out some time in your calendar to work on this. So this could be a time where you're finding basically your path. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, you're making about the same as usual. Mercury is not making an aspect with Neptune. And so I think it's just moving along maybe your investments are going up, but it's not enough to take profits. People are paying, but they haven't yet seen your new products. And so I think you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, that's where this full moon is. So that's what's lit up. And so there are some possibilities. Plus, Jupiter is making a semi-sextile to Neptune. So you've got this potential of getting a raise. One of the things, though, that is maybe problematic is you've got so much at the base of your chart. Maybe, because you're working remotely, your supervisor hasn't seen you in a while. You might have to do a few things to establish yourself there. And that's the semi-sextile part. Like a little bit of effort is needed, and then you could get more money for a job or if you're working contract. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this full moon right at the top of your chart, lighting up your house of career and reputation. This means that you're easily seen right now. And so what you put out into the world could be seen. That can include a resume or your posts. If you are looking to meet someone, you're more visible at this time. Maybe you're going to be on stage doing something or in some sort of spotlight, like leading a meeting or something. Now we have that Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Let me try that again. Mercury conjunct Uranus in Taurus in your house of ideas, thinking process. Also, this is that area where you have some dexterity, where you have ability to do things. And so this can mean that you're getting ideas by getting your hands into it. And, if this is something more intellectual, that means like holding a pen or writing things down or speaking them into your phone as you're thinking it through, because the mere act of that is activating this more mechanical part of the process. So, but also, like if it's computer stuff, to get into the program, if it's woodworking, to go get a saw, like do something with your hands and get your body involved, and then new ideas are going to come. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's not making an aspect with Neptune. And, not everything, you're very visible at this time, but it's like your mind is elsewhere. And so someone could ask you out and you might not realize it. So be aware that when you're out, you may get some attention, or maybe there are people online who are trying to get a hold of you, but you haven't logged in a while. So looking at that from, like you're not maybe seeing them, but they're there. And so that's how the ascent, that's just for 2 weeks. So this energy will line up in the future. And when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune. And so things are just rolling along as usual. There may be quite a few discussions that you have because you have such a strong communication house, but it's not like you're talking about the relationship. You're talking about just things going on in your lives or things that are affecting the two of you. So I think your relationship's just going along as usual. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mars, which is in your house of work and routines. This is about productivity and efficiency and finding ways to actually get your ideas out into the world. And so maybe that is looking for systems or shortcuts or hacks that can help you actually get more done in less time, or streamline the process so it's not so complicated, or to find the minimum effective dose, as Tim Ferriss would say, to find what's most effective to get your results. That's the energy that you're doing now. Now, when it comes to money from investments or money derived from business, you're making about the same as usual. Venus is not making an aspect with Mars. However, and this is a big however for you guys, these two planets are going to be going in tandem for a long time this year. And so you're going to have many, many opportunities where it's kind of like Venus is chasing Mars. And so the energy here is going to line up really nicely. So right now, really focus on getting ready for those opportunities. And then when it comes to money derived from your career, so that would be like a paycheck, Mars is making an inconjunct to Saturn. So an inconjunct, yes, is an aspect where you would have to make some sort of adjustments, or they have to make some sort of adjustments, but it's still an aspect. So there is some possibilities. This is not that easy an aspect, and you may want to wait until later in the year when this lines up to be a better aspect. But if you have felt that you wanted to ask for a raise now, look to either have them adjust or be ready to make some compromises yourself, and then you can come to some sort of agreement. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.